Good morning, Raptor freaks. Lexi out here, and it is Friday, and the Raptors are going to play the Pelicans tonight in a City Edition game, Jersey night, City Edition nights, New Orleans Pelicans tonight, and it's a good trap game, guys. It's a trap game because the Pelicans are actually playing well since we've seen them. They've been winning different games. They have lost a couple games in a row right now, but it's a trap game. I'm going to say that right now. This is a very dangerous game tonight. We didn't beat them the first time we played them this year. And well, we want to get revenge. We want to try and beat them. Let's not take this game lightly at all because the Pelicans, as I said, have been playing better in recent times than their record shows. So this is very much a trap game, and I seen the refs, and that's another reason why I think it's a trap game tonight. So let's go ahead and get into the preview, and we'll do the reaction to Raptors 905 losing by 2 points to Wisconsin Herd yesterday also, in the last school day game for their season. Yeah, there's stuff to cover here. I'm a little bit just coming to this stream right this second, so I may feel a little bit less organized than normal, but I'm gonna wing it, and I'm gonna show you all that I can do it still, even though I just jumped on like 5 minutes ago. All right, the lineup news. There is already Quickly is out today. Quickly is still having the plantar fasciitis. I think it's also a good excuse for upgrading Shed and trying to let him get starter minutes and trying to see what he can do and maybe even out his game. And then also a byproduct, Markel Fultz gets bumped up and he gets to play backup guard minutes. But yeah, Manuel's out again today, and Chucky is out. And that's it. There's nobody else listed. Don't worry about Yak. Don't worry about Brandon. Don't worry about anybody else. Call him Murray-Boyles. Everybody else is available except for IQ. So IQ should be out. That should mean Shed with Brandon Ingram, RJ Barrett, Scotty Barnes, and Jakob Poeltl as the starting lineup for the Raptors. Let's see. What are they saying? The ESPN matchup predictor is saying right now that it's a 66% chance the Raptors will win tonight at home against the New Orleans Pelicans. So, yeah, we need to take care of business and not mess around. Yeah, the last game sucked, and, well, we need to do better this time. All right, let's see. On the other side, this is interesting. A lot of people were looking forward to a rematch with DeJounte Murray to get some get back, but this is how it works. The Pelicans played last night in Detroit, and they lost to the Pistons last night. So they're on the second night of a back-to-back coming to Toronto tonight, just so y'all know. Now, one of the things is DeJounte Murray's been hurt on the down low most of this year, and he is not playing back-to-backs. So he is not going to be playing tonight, very likely, because he sits on one night of the back-to-back, and he played last night. So he's ducking. And in some ways, there will not be any receipts paid to him on the court because he's ducking. That guy's not going to be playing tonight. The guy who did that punk ass shit the last time we played them. So yeah, he's saying Murray isn't expected to be available for the second half of the New Orleans back-to-back against the Raptors because he sits on one of the nights of the back-to-back, and he played last night. So it's convenient. It's real convenient. It's like RJ want to get a receipt or any of the other Raptors want to get a receipt on DeJounte Murray. Well, it's not going to happen this game. This man is probably going to be sitting on the bench, probably still talking out of his ass, though. I bet you he'll jaw from the bench and be a little shithead from there instead. Yeah, that's probably what will happen. Trey Murphy III is out last night with an ankle injury, but we'll see if he shows up for today here in Toronto. Bryce McGowan's is out for them also. So, yeah, who can we expect from the Pelicans today? Well, Jeremiah Fears, Sadiq Bey, Zion Williamson, Herbert Jones, Yves Missy, Derek Queen, Carlo Matakovic, DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre Jordan's probably starting at center. Jordan Poole, Micah Peavy, and Jordan Hawkins is kind of their rotation right now. They have lost a bunch of games recently. Actually, they're on a losing streak. They've lost 3 games in a row to top teams in the Eastern Conference, Detroit, New York, and Cleveland. But before that, they had won 3 games in a row, 2 in a row against the Clippers, and also beat Dallas. So they're 3-3 in their last 6. If you count back to when we played them and they beat us, they're 4-4. So they're playing 500 ball. We cannot mess around. We cannot take this game lightly. In some ways, that game was so embarrassing that the energy that they remember after the New Orleans game, they have to have today. And I don't want to see Brandon Ingram playing half-assed just because his friends are on the other side tonight. We're in Toronto tonight. You're not in a homecoming of New Orleans. You're going to be playing some of your old teammates today. And I want to see, instead of like, hi, happy to see you, smiley, wave to you, I want to see, yeah, I love you guys, but I'm going to beat your ass on the court. That's what I want to see tonight, Brandon Ingram. I don't want to see no happy, cheery friends. Oh, good to see you, Herb. I love you, man. You're my buddy. I miss you. I don't want to fucking see that energy tonight, Brandon Ingram. I want to see you want to kick their ass. I want to see you come out there and say, hey, you guys, I used to play with you guys, and now I'm going to beat your ass on the basketball court, playing like a badass and hitting all my mid-range and shots. That's what we need to see tonight, Brandon. In some ways, you need to come back against the Pelicans in a way that shows that stupid shit in New Orleans, come on now. You need to beat them. That's what I'm saying right now, man. I'm going to be watching Ingram particularly because I'm like, bro, is this the non-seriousness you're going to be? You're going to play former team that you love, and you're not going to try against them from now on? Is it just that if Brandon Ingram's going to be on the Toronto Raptors, we're going to have to pencil in L's versus the New Orleans Pelicans going forward? Is this what this is going to be, Brandon Ingram? Is the OG Anunoby ain't trying to lose to the Toronto Raptors since he went to the Knicks? So what the fuck, man? Are you going to try and beat the Pelicans tonight? Try earnestly? That's what I'm asking you, B.I. Right now. Seriously, I'm wearing your jersey. I'm rocking you right now, bro. I don't want to see you come and show up and, hey, hi, guys. It's Friends reunion. I'm friends with you guys. I love you guys. So happy to see you, trainer and coaches and players on the Pelicans. So happy to see you. No, beat their ass, Brandon. And stop being such a friend. Seriously. Seriously. You owe them one. New Orleans 1, Brandon 0 in the post-Brandon career after the Pelicans. Beat their ass today, Brandon Ingram. And if I don't see any of that kind of energy come from you, I'm going to be like, well, this guy, what the fuck is wrong with him? Seriously, just as long as we don't play the Pelicans, we'll be all right. It's crazy. All right, let me go look at the refs. The refs in the replay center at Secaucus tonight are Derek Collins, Pat Frere, Robert Hussey, and Simone Jelks. Now, on site, this is a really bad crew once again. This is the thing, man. The Raptors, just like with the Bulls game, it's the similar thing, honestly, because in some ways it's the same ref. You've got to beat the Pelicans by double digits. You've got to kick their ass majorly. You cannot mess around with this game, Raptors. If you guys are close with the Pelicans tonight, there will be funny stuff. I'm going to say this right now because once again, they're sending Mark Davis to ref our game tonight. Mark Davis is the crew chief tonight out of Chicago, Illinois, number 28 season for number 8. His favorite TV show is The Wire. He likes the movie Three Colors Pan-African. He likes the John Coltrane's jazz. Lonesome Dove is his favorite book. He likes to eat pancakes. He uses Cisco AnyConnect, and he'd like to visit Venice and fly a helicopter along the Chicago River. Mark Davis has officiated 1,626 regular season games in 27 seasons as an NBA staff official. He has worked 218 playoff games, including 23 NBA Finals games. Mark Davis has ref hit job us once this year at least, if not more. Our record this season with him is 2-3. We did win the last game that he refed. I believe it was the Chicago game, the first game on this road trip we just finished. And where it was like, we got to really beat the Bulls because if we don't, the refs might do some funny stuff. And we beat them by 30. So this is the kind of energy we have to have today. We win 48% of our games in the career of Mark Davis. And, well, the Pelicans win 49%. So a slight favor to New Orleans with the crew chief, Mark Davis, a known hit job artist for over a decade. And he has hit jobbed us this year in Charlotte and putting us in an overtime game that we didn't have to be in because he decided it. And then Con Knipple and them beat us and ended our 9-game win streak last fall. So that's what we're up against. We got Mark Davis, the crew chief today. The second ref is not much better. He can be problems for us too. And that is Kevin Cutler out of LA, number 34. He's the big, huge ref. 16th season. He likes the show Homicide, Life on the Street. He listens to Luther Vandross. His favorite book is Positive Intelligence. His favorite meal is chicken. He'd most like to visit Africa. His bucket list is to play 20 of the top 100 U.S. golf courses. Why don't you play all of them? Why only 20? Hidden talent, playing the trumpet. Kevin Cutler enjoys playing golf, reading, and spending time with his family. Yeah, he's the big, huge ref. Like, he's a really big ref. He's like 6'9". And, well, he's got a very similar record to Mark Davis. He's been an anti-Raptors ref in the past. He's the ref that threw Fred out early in the third quarter, one game a couple of years ago for no explicable reason. He just decided, I'm throwing Fred VanVleet out with 5 minutes into the third quarter just for the hell of it. Cutler has been 2-1 with the Raptors this season in games that he's reffed. 2-1. So that's pretty good. We've won 2 out of the 3. We are 500 exactly with him for our record, and the Pelicans are 49%. So 50 to 49% for the Raptors, just a slight favor for the Raptors with the second ref, Kevin Cutler. The third ref is a rookie ref, and he's annoying. He's one of the worst refs for the Raptors so far statistically. We've only won 1 game he's ever reffed. It's Pat O'Connell, number 90, his first season out of Bayonne, New Jersey. He likes the show Sopranos. He likes the movie Wedding Crashers. He listens to J. Cole. His favorite book is Legends and Souls. He likes to eat steak. His favorite app is Peloton. He most like to visit Italy, and his bucket list is to attend the Olympics. Pat O'Connell worked in the NBA Replay Center as a replay operator during its inaugural season in 2014-15 and again in 15-16. He also spent 2 seasons in the NBA's referee development program. Yeah, he's in his first full season as a ref in the NBA this year, but he has been a ref from time to time, specialty in years past. We are 1-2 with him this year. We got the only win we've ever gotten with him as a ref 2 games ago. We did lose the last game that he reffed, so we're 1-2. Our winning percentage with Pat O'Connell is 17%. It is the worst record out of all the referees in the NBA right now. Yeah, 17%, 167. But the good news is he has the exact same duplicate record, which is 1-6 with the Pelicans. So it's even. 17% winning for the Raptors, 17% winning for the Pelicans with the rookie ref Pat O'Connell. But he's still in the black zone at the very bottom of the referee spreadsheet that I use. He is down at the very bottom. Like, he is right there at the bottom. So, yeah, those are our refs today. We got Mark Davis, known hit job artist. We got big, bad Kevin Cutler. And then we got a rookie ref that's got the worst record with the Raptors out of all the refs in the whole entire league. So, yeah, that's the ref report. This is the thing. That's why I say you got to beat them outright. You can't have this game be close because I don't trust this refs not to do manipulative shit to help the other team like what happened in Denver last Friday. And that's the problem. In Denver, you get too close to a team and you beat them for most of the game, but the referees decide, yeah, we're going to screw over the Raptors in the last minutes. You don't want to allow that to happen, Scotty Barnes. You don't want to allow that to happen, RJ Barrett. You're going to need to get a good lead and a cushion so that there cannot be any ref imprint on the outcome of the game. So go out there. And one of the big things I want to key on for the Raptors organization this week is making your free throws. That was pathetic in the last game, the way you guys shot your free throws against the Clippers. That was absolutely dog shit. And I'll say this too. The 905 shot really bad at free throws this week too. So the whole organization needs to lock in and stop missing free throws. Start taking these things more seriously, because in some ways, the 905 lost their game yesterday because of shit like this. The other thing is, I don't know why, but both the Raptors and the Raptors 905 this week are off, and they can't hit shots just in general. Whether it's making threes, making bunnies near the basket, everything's just a little off and falling out of the rim and not going through. We've got to get that shit to start going through again and stop having all this crazy crap, because y'all are building problems with confidence. And we need to have confidence going on the stretch run towards the playoffs right now. We're in the thick of it. We've been leaped over by Atlanta as of last night. We're in the 6th seed, and we are very, very close to the teams that are right below us. So losing the Pelicans tonight, we can't afford to do that, or we're a playing team all of a sudden. So y'all need to win tonight, and y'all need to win big, because Mark Davis is the referee. And that's just how it is, Raptors. Keys to the victory: start strong, go inside, make baskets inside, work your way inside out. Don't take threes right off the start. Go inside. Start baskets in there. If it's an RJ strong arm left, if it's a Jakob Poeltl post move, if it's a Scotty Barnes, dunk it on their heads. Whatever it is, start inside, work your way out, so you build confidence and you get your field goal percentage up from the beginning. Coach Andrew Jones was upset with the 905 yesterday for losing to Wisconsin Herd. And he said the big problem is they didn't start right. They came out flat and they missed a bunch of shots at the beginning, put ourselves in a hole. And that was the difference between the end. If we hadn't put ourselves in such a hole, we would have won the game. But because they started flat, Andrew Jones is worried about the Raptors 905 starting games incorrectly and not coming into games correctly. So I would say the same thing tonight. Listen, I don't get why y'all shoot so many threes, Raptors. You guys need to go inside. You've had the size advantage against teams. Go inside. You have a great mid-range player like Brandon Ingram. Let him play in the mid-range. I'm so sick of this over-reliance on the three. You guys got to get points. And shooting 5 threes and missing all of them don't get you no points. So the effort was great in the last game. It's just that y'all could not execute and convert the baskets. So make sure you make the baskets this time. Don't listen for the whistle to bail you out. You have to take it in your own hands and not expect Kevin Cutler and Mark Davis to bail you out and call whistles, because you know they won't. So you need to go in there and make the baskets yourself through the contact, whether you hear the whistle or not. If they give you the whistle, great. You're getting respect finally. But don't ever expect it or rely on it. And in some games this week, we've had too much going in to get the contact and hope that they get to the line. No, the refs don't allow that anymore. You have to not play for the whistle, because the whistle is not going to be there for you. Trust me, it's not going to be there. All right, let me see what y'all are saying in the chat. Yeah, I'm not happy with this ref crew. I'm a little ornery in general this morning. A little ornery in general. All right, let's see. Trevor's saying this. Words of wisdom. Thank you, Trevor. I appreciate you. Life will punch you in the mouth. Plans will fall apart. People will flake. Promises broken, but the mission stays the same. Keep moving. Progress doesn't need approval. It just needs you to refuse to quit. I like this. I mean, this is kind of timely to me right now. Life will punch you in the mouth. It's not exactly what's happening, but plans will fall apart. Sure. And people will flake. Yeah, that's another one. Yeah, I hate this because I'm a very methodical planning out person. And I like to plan my days like days in advance. And when people are chaotic in my life and they don't really like to plan and they like to be more spontaneous, it goes against who I am. Some people like to be spontaneous. Some people like to run out the door and just do whatever and aimlessly wander around this world. I don't. And in some ways, when people are like that around me and they don't plan with me correctly, it can piss me off. Let's just put it that way. So, yeah, it's tough, man. This is an interesting words of wisdom, and I get it. And in some ways, I don't know how you know sometimes, but there is something that has to do with my life right now and what you said, Trevor. Blessings to the Jones family and all the Raptor Freak families. Yeah, I'm just going to be me and do what I got to do and, well, roll with the punches. That's what you got to do, right? Trevor's saying this: happy game day and beat the Pelicans tonight because they are on back-to-back loss to the Pistons last night. Yeah, they lost last night, the Pistons. And of course they should, but let's not get it twisted. New Orleans Pelicans are a dangerous team. They are a team out of the playoffs with nothing to lose but play spoiler. And in some ways, they've already spoiled some things with us with one loss this year. If they get both the games this year, that will be messed up. And honestly, I already see Raptors Nation melting down in all kinds of stupid places. Normal, sane, methodical, analytical, smart people like Samson Folk are acting out of their ass now at this point. It's gotten to this point. And I don't like it. In some ways, we got to right the ship, get more confidence, and stay on the right side of this battle to stay in the playoffs. You know, that's the stuff that's important to me right now. That's right. RJ Phillips is here. Randolph Phillips, good morning to you, sir. Thank you for coming into the chat this morning. Game day blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks fam. As prophecies fulfill around us, do your best to be on the right side of it all. Good and bad outcomes are inevitable and cannot be evaded. Yeah. I mean, I could, this touches off a whole subject that I don't even want to talk about right now. In some ways, my reaction to what he's saying here, I don't even want to go into it right now. But I'll say this: blessings to the Phillips family and all the Raptor Freak families. Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know which prophecy he's talking about exactly, but let's just you know what? Let's do this. Dear God, thank you for another day. Thank you for another day with all the things that you provided me, where I'm okay with food and shelter and clothes on my back and people that love me. I appreciate that. I wish that for everybody in this world. I do not want anything just for myself, selfishly like some, and not for everybody else. Please protect the Raptors tonight in their game against the Pelicans. Protect the Pelicans even too. Protect all the teams, the NBA, all the athletes around the world, all the people and all the life forms around the world, as they are you and yourself, the life force and light that God is itself, love. And so many people are detached from what you truly are at this point. They use a false God, and they use you as an excuse to act very poorly and worship God money. And in some ways, the truth will come out in the end that there was only one true God, and that was the one that I know that is in the life force of all things on this earth. I appreciate you so much. All the glory to God. I humbly do what I do in my days as a servant of you to try and do better every day. I appreciate you so much. And if you could help us avoid a ref hit job from Mark Davis today, that would be fantastic. Thank you so much. Bless everyone around there. Protect everyone from war, famine, genocide, rape, pillaging, ICE agents, the idiot who's running the United States right now. If you could just look out for everybody right now, that would be great. Thank you so much. All the glory to God. God is great. Amen. I actually feel better after that. And that's a lesson right there. I'm angsty and kind of upset this morning, but having a moment to take a chance to just breathe and do what I just did has actually kind of calmed me down and kind of aligned me back in the right way. That's the power of gratitude. That's the power of giving yourself a chance to be grateful and thankful for stuff and getting out of your own selfish head. Yeah. Trevor's saying this, Toronto Tempo preseason game, April the 29th at Coca-Cola Coliseum. It will be Connecticut Sun. Yep, we've talked about this already. That was announced like a month ago, and we covered that a month ago when that came out. Yeah. Jimmy's saying this game will show the character of the team for me. Go get some back for Jamal. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much energy is going to be happening tonight. Like I said, DeJounte's not playing. He's a coward. He's going to be sitting on the outside because he took his game last night, and they don't play him on back-to-backs. So him as an individual won't be out there. Maybe there'll be some talk towards the bench and where he's sitting. But either way, the whole energy of this should be y'all lost to the Pelicans. Forget about the extra stuff with Shed and Murray. Y'all lost the Pelicans in an embarrassing way. And as a team, you need to write your season series with them. And also, you need to pay attention to the standings and where you are and just how precarious your situation is. That's what we're going to see, the mettle of dealing with that, right, Jimmy? How are these guys going to come out tonight and battle and show that they were not okay with the last outcome against this team in New Orleans? That's what they got to do today. That's what they got to do. Yeah. Jimmy's saying home stretch and incoming. These games will determine if we make the playoffs or not. Game time. Yeah. Yeah. And I feel very confident that they will still make a playoff spot. But if they're in the play-in and everybody starts talking about how they're a failure because of that, I'm going to be fighting against that too, because it's stupid. It is absolutely stupid. And they can take it as like, oh, they had a playoff spot all year and then they fell in the play-in somehow. Sometimes that shit's manipulated by Adam Silver in the NBA. So don't get it twisted. And Mark Davis being in Toronto tonight is symbolic of this. Let's just put it that way. Daniel Barry's here. Happy Friday. Hey, everyone. Hey, Daniel, good to see you, man. Always happy to see you in the chat, my guy. Medved Ted's here. Good morning, Medved Ted. Both Scotty and BI need to be at least 20-plus points per game scorers on any given night. We need more consistency from our two all-star players. I like that. And Guardian Transit's agreeing with you, too. Scotty, Brandon's good for that, but lately he's been inconsistent. He actually had a single-digit game in a game recently. How much is the heel bothering him? I don't know. In some ways, it's like, are we not getting him good looks because he's not getting freed because of physical defense we're facing these days? Maybe. But yeah, Brandon is a sure shot to get 20 at least, right? But Scotty's the other one. And, we've talked about this a lot lately. Scotty being more selfish, but he doesn't want to be. It's like he's out there and getting everybody else involved at his detriment. And in some ways, I like what you're saying, and I wish he would. Remember last year when Scotty was just about to get 20 per game, but he ended up averaging 19 per game for the season? Yeah, that's annoying. It's almost like, yeah, you could have gotten a few more points and you'd actually have averaged 20 points per game for the whole season, Scotty. But, I don't know. I don't know if this is a goal that's on Barnes's list, because in some ways his goal is to make the next winning play, and that's his only goal. And often his next winning play has nothing to do with himself scoring. It has to do with a block here, or a steal here, or a rebound here, or an assist here, and then maybe a shot here for himself. I love this. And I think that in his evolution, he should average over 20 points more and more as he gets older. I hate to think that he's holding back on how he plays right now for the Raptors. You need to stop holding back, Scott. You need to let it loose and do what Medved Ted's saying here. Get over 20 points. Yeah. Trevor's saying this: Raptors can get back to 5 because Atlanta's versus the Celtics tonight. Well, let's hope the Celtics take care of business. They're not totally reliable in certain ways to beat teams right now. And, as much as we would like to pencil in Boston's going to beat Atlanta, Atlanta's been very hot lately. And we can't just take this as a given L for the Hawks tonight. In some ways, the Celtics have to show up and do what's right to do this. Yeah. And Trevor's saying that New York lost to the Hornets last night. Yeah, that's a big deal. The game was in Charlotte, not in New York. But, a very strong effort by Ball, Knipple, and Miller, to getting 20 points and beating OG and the Knicks in Charlotte last night. That's a surprising outcome. And that's what I'm saying. The Hornets and the Hawks are these southeastern teams that are actually kind of surging at the end of the season, and they're beating some of the teams at the top of the conference now, like right now. So there's nothing guaranteed, and that's why it's so dangerous, because these teams are real close to us. And it's like the Hornets have been rising like crazy since the calendar flipped to 2026. They've been rising like crazy. Randolph saying, Lex and Raptor Freaks, if the team is not serious about winning, I need to see development right across the board in preparation for next season. And don't fool around and mess up our chances at a good draft. I don't care about the draft. Once again, I'm not implicating anything from – this is the way it should work. All right, this is where people are getting this wrong. The draft comes after the season. Everything you do during the season shouldn't have anything worrying about the draft. This is the biggest flaw in the NBA today. Everybody worries about, like, this is the craziest shit. Like, listen to this. For the tempo, there's a big movement among tempo fans already to tank this entire season for the tempo because they want to get a good draft pick next year. I hate this shit. I hate this shit so much. I think that Adam Silver needs to make the anti-tanking rules as soon as possible to stop this kind of stupid ass mind process that makes some people think that losing on purpose to get a draft pick is a good strategy. You know, that was part of the whole fight when in the first year of the Raptors, apparently, between Isaiah Thomas and Brendan Malone. Brendan Malone was the first-time coach, and he wanted to look good as a coach, and he wanted to compete, and he was trying. And in some ways, Isaiah was trying to like lose so he could get better draft picks. But listen, it's a stupid, flawed philosophy. Don't put the horse after the cart. You got to put the horse in front of the cart. And that means play through your season and let the chips fall wherever they do. And who cares what happens for the draft? The draft shouldn't be thought about all season. This is the biggest problem with the problem in the NBA right now is there's bad teams thinking about the draft already. The regular season's still going on. They shouldn't be. And no fans should be either. There's an order and chronological order of when things should happen. And everybody trying to shape their draft through the season is wrong for it. We should, because this is when I grew up on the NBA, nobody thought about this so deeply and nobody tried to manipulate it so deeply. Teams just played, they got their records, and then we had the draft. And there wasn't all this extra buzz, all this extra noise, all this stuff about tanking and draft position during the season and caring about that shit. What we need to do is get back to that point where the draft is a whole separate thing and has no implications from the season in some ways. Because that's the problem. Everybody's like doing all this stupid shit and strategy to lose on purpose for the draft. Well, Adam Silver's going to fix it this summer. And apparently he's got some ideas already that he's come out with. There's an article. I didn't get a chance to read it, but it's on ESPN, and maybe I'll look at it for the first time right now. Sources are saying that the NBA has presented 3 comprehensive anti-tanking proposals. And let's see what they're saying here. I'll speed read. I haven't looked at this yet. I haven't prepared. So I'm going to do this while we're reading this. At the same time, they're saying that each of the 3 proposals would be a radical departure from the current setup. They have one thing in common: bring in teams that make the playoffs into the lottery process. From there, they dramatically change. In the first proposal, 18 teams, the bottom 10 that miss the play-in tournament and the 8 that qualify for it, all will be part of the draft lottery. The bottom 10 teams will all have an equal 8% chance of moving up in the lottery, with the remaining 20% of the odds being split among the 8 play-in teams in descending order from 11 through 18. I think this is stupid. In some ways, I get it. You want to kind of work out a reward all the way down to the play-in teams. But in some ways, I like the flat percentage for all the non-play-in playoff teams. But in some ways, there's also going to be a murky, weird area where people are going to still try and do some weird, shady shit between the play-in and being out of the play-in. So this doesn't totally seem like this totally works. The second proposal is that 22 teams, the bottom 10 teams that miss the play-in tournament, and the 8 that qualify for it, and the 4 playoff teams that lose in the first round will all be included in the lottery and will be ranked according to their records across 2 seasons. The last part, weighing teams by their record across the prior 2 seasons, is how the WNBA does their thing. So wait, you're going to be looking at their track record over 2 seasons? This doesn't sound like this fixes anything. This just sounds like a Band-Aid on top of it. All right, and the third proposal is a 5x5 method. In this one, the same 18 teams from the first proposal, the bottom 10 that miss the play-in plus the 8 that make it would be entered in the lottery. The teams with the 5 worst records would all have the same odds, then descending from there, and there would be a lottery drawing for each of the top 5 picks in the draft. And then there would be another lottery for the remaining 13 afterwards. Man, this just sounds stupid. Why don't they do this? And this is the thing that I think Charles said is, all right, you have the teams that that don't make the playoffs, as soon as a team is eliminated from the playoffs, everything that they do after that is to earn the first pick in the draft. So, and I know that it's tough because strength of schedule could be different for each team at that point afterwards. And maybe that could be manipulated by the NBA schedule makers, but you get points for winning games after you've been eliminated. This would make teams not try to lose because they can't get the first pick if they lose, right? So it's like all the 10 teams that are out, they would be accumulating certain points after that. Maybe what they do is they keep track of everybody who's possibly not going to make the playoffs. And the first team that gets eliminated from the playoffs, they start it then. And then everybody that could possibly be out of the playoffs has on a point system for the wins that they get for the rest of the season. And whichever team gets the most wins in the last part of the season will get the first pick in the draft. And that includes the 10 teams that don't make the playoffs. The play-in teams and everything, they just kind of fall into order all the way through where they placed throughout the season, the play-in and the playoffs. There's no lottery. They don't switch spots or anything. They just go in the spot where they finished. So there's no way that Dallas could happen like it did last year, where it made a play-in team, made it, and then got the first pick in the draft. No, there's none of that. If you're in the play-in, you don't have a chance to get one of those top 10 picks. You got to be either 11, 12, 13th, or 14th, but you will get those spots no matter what. So basically, whichever teams in the last that part are making the most wins and they have the most points after that, that will stop teams from actively trying to lose on purpose because they don't get anything from it. You lose on purpose, well, that's not helping you get the number one pick. You got to win out all the way through. You have to try and win every single game, whether you're trying to win to get in the playoffs over the most of the year. Oh, you're not in the playoffs? Well, you're eliminated. Well, you got to win still so that you can get your best chance to get your number one pick. Now, does that mean that the best team out of the bottom 10 gets the number one pick? Possibly. And if is that a big deal? They're not a playoff team, but they're going to still get the number one pick. I think that works better than all three of those proposals. Because the problem is there's still a lottery in those. And that's the problem. That's the problem. There's a lottery. The lottery is a problem because the lottery puts chance for people to take a gamble to try and get that first pick and manipulate it. And if you don't have a lottery, if everybody just knows, well, this is the way it goes, it's figured out by you continuing to win in a point system, then nobody should be trying to lose all the way up until the end of the season. Everybody should be trying to win out for whatever reason, whether it's playoff seeding, whether it's this or that. I mean, could there be some weird convoluted thing where a team that's in the playoffs that doesn't like their seed starts trying to lose on purpose to avoid a matchup in the first round? Sure. And then a team that's outside gets a win against a team they normally wouldn't beat because they are worried about avoiding another team in their playoff seeding. That could happen, but in some ways, is that a really big deal? Is that totally a big deal? No, I don't think that's as bad as tanking on purpose to try and get number one. I don't know. I think that these are not the right proposals, Adam Silver. They sound like they're just other variations of what you already got. You need to be drastic. You need to destroy the lottery. The lottery is the biggest problem. You throw the lottery out and you have just a set system with no chance of a lottery, lottery ball and all that stuff. Part of the reason why they want the lottery is because that's the way they can manipulate who gets the picks, by just making up the lottery results. That's how they get Victor to San Antonio. That's how they get Cooper to Dallas. That's why they don't want to get rid of the lottery itself, is because they can do conspiracy theory shit and direct people to places they want to through the odds of the lottery. So, man, it's such a stupid mess. If they get rid of the lottery, a lot of it will fix itself. But they need the lottery to have control. It's obvious. This is the bullshit of it. Let's see. All right, let me keep going in the chat. Fiercely saying, good morning, fam, and happy game day. Revenge game tonight. Let's show them we're a unit and stick together. 2-finger salute to DeJounte Murray. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. He's not going to play, so we just got to beat them. We just got to beat them. That's the best revenge right there. Jordan from Canada is in here again. What? Good morning, Jordan. Happy Friday. I appreciate the content. I appreciate you, Jordan, and I hope you have a fantastic weekend. And we see a Raptors win over New Orleans Pelicans tonight. That's right. Consider a thumbs up for the stream if you haven't. This man does great work. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's nice to be recognized and to hear encouraging words. I really do appreciate that. Fiercely saying this tanking mentality is garbage. Tempo season not even started, and people are already planning to tank. What happened to playing hard to the point you get satisfaction of beating the odds, maintain integrity? Yeah, it's all goofy and stupid, man. It's all goofy and stupid. Today at 3:30, they're going to have a coin flip to decide who's going to get the first pick in the expansion draft a week from today. And then the other team will get the first pick in the WNBA draft between the two of them, 6 or 7. So it's either the first pick in the expansion draft or the sixth pick in the draft. I'm not sure which one would be better to get. We did a poll on this the other day, and I think I forgot to look at it. The interesting thing about it is that, like, some of the rules that I've just read about is that the tempo can draft people in the expansion draft with the intention of flipping them to another team that's interested in them and getting assets from them. Some people in tempo camp are saying that they should not worry about the expansion draft and getting so many players through that, and instead concentrate on signing players through the free agency and really maximizing our cap and the new WNBA cap rules. That, because of Sandy, because Toronto is a very progressive city that is very, very uh, uh, gay rights. And also because it is summertime, the WNBA season. So you can't say that Toronto is a bad place to play because of the weather. It's a very attractive place for free agents. And I predicted this months ago when we got Coach Sprondello that we are going to get some big names that nobody's going to see happening just because of that draw, because of Sandy, the weather, and the very progressive city that Toronto is. That, the states are going in a really bad direction right now. So why wouldn't American players, that have certain lifestyles, wouldn't they want to love to be in Canada, a more open-minded place that is more welcoming and a little bit more, not hateful, I guess is the right word. So yeah, I think that there's going to be a real surprise that the Toronto Tempo will make some major moves in the free agency market with this situation, and we may actually be a better team partly because of that, because we get super good players from the start. Unless they do some sort of rules that stops us from doing it because they don't want us to be so good from the beginning. But from what I'm hearing, we are just like any other team in the WNBA, and we have the ability to sign people. And in some ways, we have a blank slate, which is kind of an advantage because other teams already have money on their books, be it's the old money and it's lower and it's not in this new and expanded salary cap that they just got with this collective bargaining agreement. But still, we have a to anybody yet. And in some ways, that can be an advantage because you could fill in your spots very high premium from the start. I'd like to see this happen. I think it is very likely that we're going to have at least 1 or 2 huge free agent signings that are going to turn the WNBA upside down. And everybody's going to be like, wait, that's not fair. They're an expansion team. How the hell did they get this all-star or this all-star too? I really feel like this is coming. But yeah, today we'll find out with the coin flip. They're going to flip the coin, and the winner of the coin flip gets to decide, do they want the first pick in the expansion draft or do they want the 6th pick in the WNBA draft? Yeah, I think it's the 6th, either the 6th or the 7th pick. Yeah. Kaz is saying, good morning, Lex and Raptor Free Crew. Good morning to you, Trucker Kaz. TGIF, my guy. TGIF. And since Kaz is here, let me check in. I didn't really look at the fantasy playoffs and how they're going. We have 8 very, very tough top teams in our Raptor Freak Fantasy League and NBA Fantasy League, and they are battling. Everybody's really close. I'm over Jason Dukes right now in our matchup by about 50. It looks like Kaz is got about 70 on James in the second seed matchup. MK is slightly beating Amit, and HC has got a 200-point lead over Nins in the number one seed matchup. But yeah, it's very competitive. And well, to the best team win, and we'll see which four are standing in the next round of the playoffs for next week. But yeah, check on your teams like Kaz does and get your team set up. That's right. He is keeping up with it. Funfish90, thank you for the subscription. He's saying, if the Raps lose tonight, is it time to panic? Well, I'm a calm person. I think nephews and casuals panic. In some ways, it's a long-term thing. It's not like anything set in stone just because of one win or one loss. It'll suck. I know that most of Raptors Nation will act immature, but for me, I'll look at it very wisely and I'll say, well, they shit the bed and they lost. And in some ways, what can we do about it? We're only fans. We watch it. And we should detach ourselves emotionally from it, because in some ways, letting a sports team's outcomes define whether you're happy or not is crazy and illogical. So I would say this: the word panic sounds stupid to me. Who's going to panic about this? It's a sports game. There's way more things to panic about in this world, like data centers, AI, and a fucking fascist United States. So maybe the word panic is more important to things that are actually more real world serious than a sports league and a team that we just follow for entertainment. That's what I would say right there. Funfish is saying if the Raps lose tonight, they will go from 6th to 10th tied. The other teams win as well. Yeah, we're not trying to see that. And well, I have a lot of faith in our guys tonight that will avoid this. But yeah, Funfish, not the right first foot into this in the chat, just so you know. In some ways, this is not a normal Raptors channel. And if you're trying to fearmonger, it's not going to work here, because even if they fail, even if they don't do what they're supposed to, I still ride with them and I don't nephew out like casuals all over Raptors Nation. And that's the thing. In some ways, I'm a good role model for Raptors fans to treat their team correctly and to not fall out. You know, you abusive towards the team if they lose. Do you feel like, oh, you Raptors, you suck. I hate you. I hate you. It's like, you're not a real fan then. You got to ride or die with them ups and downs. And some people are casuals. They say, oh, the Raptors are losing. I know. I'm not their fan anymore. I'm going to go watch the Leafs instead. Oh, wait, the Leafs suck too. I'm not their fan anymore. I'm TFC now. They just started their season. You know, you can be regular fair weather fan, Toronto fan if you want to be. I only hang out when they're winning. Nah, I'm not like that. I ride with them. And if they're going to fail tonight, I'll ride with them and stay with them, even if. But I don't think they will. I think they're going to come through because they should be pissed off about what happened in New Orleans, and they should have receipts. They should have receipts. Yeah. Randolph, you like my prayer? It's pretty good. Funfish is saying Kawhi just showed you the other day he can still play at his age, even though he sits a lot. I'm really proud of Kawhi in a lot of ways, because look, this whole time since he's been on LA, it's been a wash. It's been a waste of time. He would have had a way better outcome if he stayed here at least one more year. He could have repeated, probably. And he, you know, who knows? His trajectory with his health could have been way better being with Dr. Alex longer. You know, look at Brandon this year. Look at the miracle of Brandon Ingram playing the most games he's ever played in his NBA career. And think about the time lost with Kawhi Leonard in LA, missing games and just wasting his time, wasting his prime of his career, just sitting around doing nothing. In some ways, it's nice that he's been able to play most of this year and be very healthy and look very strong. I'm happy for him as a Raptors champion and the finals MVP for our franchise. I'm happy for him. And, you know, we'll see how many more years he's got in him. We'll see if he ever gets anywhere near another championship. It's probably unlikely. But either way, at least he's still a powerful player. And that, you know, he was healthy enough to play this year. You know, I have no problem with that. Yeah. Trevor's saying, I watched the Euroleague yesterday. I see Jared Rhoden and Gabrielle. Gabrielle, who? Gabrielle go at it. They were balling for each other's team. Gabrielle, who's Gabrielle, man? Who are you talking about, Gabrielle? Yeah, Jared Rhoden's on Paris. and he is having a very good season over there. Very, very good season over there. So yeah, you're watching EuroLeague. That's pretty cool, man. Funfish is saying, I like your response to bad Leafs Nation acts like babies, a big chunk of it. That's why we want to keep it separated, Funfish. We're logically going to have a similar fan nation because it's the same city, right? A lot of Leaf fans are Raptors fans too, or Blue Jays fans. It's all together, right? And the problem, and this is part of the reason why I made this channel, is that a lot of the behaviors of Leaf Nation bleed into Raptors Nation. And I don't like that because a lot of Leaf Nation stuff is toxic. It's toxic. It's not real fan. It's like very, what's the right word? They're kind of like uh, spoiled. Let's just put it. They're not, it's not that they're spoiled in wins or anything. It's just that they're kind of like, they expect things and they don't really deserve it. You know what I'm saying? Like they just expect, oh, because we're the Maple Leafs nation. We just deserve Stanley Cups. We just deserve to win and all this stuff. No, that's not how it works. In some ways, your team's got to kick some ass and get it, like the Raptors did in 2019. And then, you get more respect and you get this and that. And your team, in some ways, is a mess. And the problem is a lot of the actions of Leafs Nation come into Raptors Nation, and people try and root for the Raptors like they root for the Leafs. The Raptors aren't a team that has done what the Leafs have done over the last decades. We don't deserve that kind of, oh no, first round failure, this or that, or, being really kind of like negative about the team or kind of like jaded about the team. We don't need to be jaded about our team. There's a lot of positive things about our team. And often I also find that Leaf fans try to come to Raptor spaces and apply hockey logic and hockey ideas to basketball. And it doesn't work that way. And then maybe the ideas of how they think they fix the Leafs could apply to how to fix the Raptors. They're absolutely wrong. It's apples to oranges. And it annoys me. And I feel like, and I know for a long, long time in the city of Toronto, sports fans will support teams when they're doing well. They like winners, and they'll hang around when they're winning. But when they're kind of mediocre or very bad, they're gone. They don't go to the games. They don't support, and they don't act like they're fans of it. It's only when they're winning they want to come around and act like they're fans. So I don't want any of that when it comes to our team, the team that wears red. Leaf Nation, they can go ahead and be however they want. It's fine. I would like the Leafs to be successful because it's Toronto, and I still do root for the Toronto teams. But at the same time, I don't want the toxicness of Leaf Nation and the things that go on with the Leafs to bleed over into the Raptors and get in the way. And this happened a lot around the turn of the century when MLSE acquired the Raptors and married them to the Leafs in the Air Canada Center. I saw a lot of the toxicness of the Leafs affecting the Raptors. In fact, I could extrapolate and connect the departure of Vince Carter to some of the toxicness of MLSE and the Leafs contributing to Vince leaving. So that's the thing. We got to keep them separated. And if you're a Raptors fan and a Leafs fan, realize that you go into different modes for each team. And that what applies to the Leafs doesn't necessarily apply to the Raptors. And if you're a certain type of sports fan, just in general, and that's just how you do it, well, I don't want that energy I just described coming around the Raptors because it's not true fan energy, right? In some ways, I've used this example in the past on this show. Your sports team could be like your child. Like you have a kid, you have a daughter, you have a son. And, you want to be encouraging and nurturing towards them in their sports endeavors. You say you have a son who plays junior hockey or something like that. And well, do you want to be an asshole to them when they fail? Do you want to come down on them hard and be an abusive parent towards your child if they fail? That's what I say to fans. If you really truly love your team, like somebody would love their kid, why would you be so abusive towards it when it fails? Because that's a lot of the energy. Some people are in bad places in their minds mentally or having a hard time, and they just need something to kick around. I get that. That person needs help. They need to talk to someone and try and, why are you so mean to the Raptors? I hate my life. Everything's so bad in my life. So I lash out at the Raptors because it's something I can do. That's the way I look at it. You should have an unconditional love for your favorite sports teams, just like you would have for your child.
And when they fail, you should be there to hold their hand and say, it's going to be all right. We're going to get through this. I'm with you still. Instead of kicking them down and pissing all over them and saying all this stuff. Like, if you thought about the Raptors as like your child, would you talk to them the way you talk to them? Is what I would say to people. Because that's the way I look at it. That's how protective and how much I love that team, you know? But some people, it's not like that. I'm only love you when you're good. It's conditional. I only love you when you're successful and you make me feel good like you're winning. But when you lose, it hurts me. So I immaturely will lash out and get mad at you because you hurt me because you lost, Raptors. So it's like, that's the way I look at it. If they win tonight, I'll be overjoyed, just like everybody else. And I want to win. Get it? I am confident they'll probably win. But if they lose tonight, I'm not going to crumble down to the ground like everybody else. I'm not going to kick them while they're down. They don't need it at this point, obviously. They're going to know and feel the sting of it if that happens tonight. That they don't need me to pile on it about it, do they? No. They're going to feel it themselves. So it's like all the online noise in some ways when you hear it after a loss. It's just basically people telling me, yeah, you're not real ones because you're not sticking with them through the defeat and you're differentiating yourself from them and kicking them while they're down. So, yeah, that's the way I look at it philosophically. Nobody has to agree with me. Nobody has to look at the way I do. But if you think about your sports team like it would be your child, you may root for it more correctly. And, parents of kids that play sports like Fiercey, you have to have that balance of encouragement and driving them and pushing them to be better, along with a safe place to land when they're in a tough place too. So it's a tough balance. You got to do it right. You got to do it right way. Yeah. Yeah. Let's keep going. Let's see. Bryce is here. Good morning, Lex and Raptor Freaks. Good morning to you, Bryce. Holding it down in Kentucky. Trevor's saying this. They're saying that Portland and Tempo will have a chance to be very good with the free agent signing. Yeah, it's a really interesting situation. There's a lot of things against the Tempo, but there's some things that are in their favor. And in fact, this could be a huge blessing in disguise, the CBA that just got done with the WNBA, because everything's new. And in some ways, all the WNBA teams don't really know how to deal with this big of a salary cap and how to manage their teams. And in some ways, if Monica Wright-Rogers and Teresa Resch are savvy, they could kind of manipulate things or do things right as a new team and jump right into the fray of competition with the WNBA right away. Like similar to what the Valkyries did last year, but maybe even better. Because the other thing that's a factor about this is this free agency class is rich with so much good players and talent. It's like you can get a certain amount of talent from the expansion draft, but not really. But when there's a lot of top tier players that are free agents and there's a lure to being the first ever Toronto Tempo player, that's enticing. And as I said before, a lot of the knocks on playing in Toronto in the NBA are not there for the WNBA because the weather's better in the summer and we have a very progressive city. So, yeah, it's going to be exciting and interesting. And I wouldn't be surprised, like I said, if we really knock it out of the park on the free agency market for the WNBA. And right away, we do something amazing. I'm telling you. The other thing is Portland's already had a team. So there's no real luster to being a Portland Fire for the first time because there's already been a Portland WNBA team. And they wouldn't be the pioneers of playing women's basketball in that city. Toronto, this would be very much that. And we may be shocked to see the level of caliber player that may be like, I want to be a first-time Toronto Tempo player. And the Raptors, I've seen how cool that is over time. And in some ways, I want to be in the history books as being the inaugural season Toronto Tempo. There may actually be a draw to that. Seriously. There may actually be a draw to that. Funfish is saying negativity equals trolls, in my opinion. Yes. I've said this often, Funfish. I've said that, you can say you're a fan, but I really go by how you talk. Like, I say that I don't call it Raptors fans anymore. I call it Raptors Nation because in the nation, there's trolls, there's fake fans, and then there's fanatics, and there's freaks like us. We're freaks. We're a whole other level. There's fans, fanatics, and then there's freaks. People that are just crazy positive fans for their team. And in some ways, we're like the Knights Templar, and we defend the Raptors' honor in different places. Like, we're the ones who go into comment sections and where people are being absolutely trashing the Raptors, we're standing up for them and writing the opposite. It's kind of like what we do. But in the nation, there are going to be negative people that aren't really fans, in my opinion, that identify as fans. And I really do go by how I feel about whether they're a fan or not by how they talk. Like, if they're very overly negative or putting down the team, or very Debbie Downer, or they're basically acting like they're like a frenemy to the fans, to the team. They're frenemy. Like, they identify, I'm a Raptor fan. I'm from Toronto, but man, the Raptors suck, bro. Let's just be honest, man. They suck. And they're always coming around saying like, yeah, I root for Toronto because I'm from Toronto, but actually my favorite team is Golden State. It's shit like that. It's shit like that. So there are a lot of people that identify as Raptors fans, but I would disagree with them. They're not fans. There may be trolls. They may be just casuals. They may be people that actually are only conveniently Raptor fans when it benefits them. And when it's hard and tough, like a Tampa season or a losing streak, they go away. And they're not there for them when they're at their lows, right? Does that make sense? Funfish is saying even top people on YouTube bring up tanking and saying we suck. It's sad. Yeah, it's stupid, man. Those people on YouTube, they're gonna have their opinions, and everybody can have an avenue to do this. I'm an example of this. A lot of people probably say this guy's not worth listening to, and some people say this guy's great. I should listen to. YouTube gives a platform to everybody at this point. But yeah, the thing about tanking is like, what are we going to do? Tank now? Like, no, we are in the playoffs and we need to be fighting for position. I think it's ridiculous that people are already saying the tempo should tank and they don't even have a player yet. That is crazy. Yeah, G's saying it shows Murray as game time decision. Really hope he plays so they can beat him. Yeah, they're going to beat him either way if he doesn't play or he does play, right? Because he's a part of that team. Nah, the pattern is that he sits. He's going to probably sit. And a lot of people were saying that yesterday, that he's probably not going to sit. It says day to day, but it's likely he's not going to play. Funfish is saying feed the wins to next year, in my opinion. Well, everything's valuable. And in some ways, you don't want to listen. The progress for next year isn't even from this year. It's from the offseason. This year is its own thing. Finish it out. Do as best as you can. Get some playoff experience. And then in the offseason, go back and work hard. Let Bobby do his work as the general manager with the draft and free agency and trades and whatever he might do to change the roster during the summer. And then all the guys, they get with Darko at the end of the season and they say, this is what we're working on. And they go and do their individual work and they progress and they work hard through the summer. And usually they're working together in places like Spain and Miami and other places. And then, we see them come back into training camp and there's a buildup from young players like Jacoby, Shed, Colin Murray-Boyles, Scotty Barnes. And these guys come back with their new tricks and all the work they did over the summer months. And that's part of how we improve, along with what Bobby does as a front office. So, yeah, I mean, in some ways I keep them separated. This year is a whole other chapter. And what we're doing right now should be about now. It's not worrying about next year. We're worried about right now and our playoff seed and getting playoff experience for our young core. That is priority number one right now. Yeah. Iron Man FC saying this. Man, I just have to say, Julian Reese had a night to remember a couple nights ago. I think his numbers were 25 and 17. Yeah, Julian has put up numbers in his first few games as an NBA player that are similar to Shaq's. He's getting rebounds and points like Shaquille O'Neal did when he first started his career out at LSU. I'm pissed about this to a degree. I'm mad about this because I said this from the start of the 905 season. Julian Reese is somebody who needs to come up to the Raptors, and Bobby, don't let this guy go. And well, now he's gone to the Wizards. And once again, I feel really validated from my opinions and my astute assessment that he is like he is in the NBA because he's doing it in the NBA now. Because I knew he could do this in the NBA because I saw him doing it in the G League. And I just wish the Raptors had jumped on it and made him a Raptor instead of him being a Wizard right now. In some ways, I don't know. Maybe there's some stuff behind the scenes that we aren't privy to where it's like Reese and his family are saying, well, we don't really want to play for the Raptors, but we don't mind coming up and playing for 905 because you guys have such a good development thing, and we know you're going to get him to the level that he needs to so he can get somewhere. You see, Julian Reese last summer was on the South Bay Lakers and in the summer league for the Lakers. But that probably is not the place that's going to get him to where he got to with the Wizards just now. It was Toronto and Mississauga and Drew Jones and 905. And we did nice things for him, developed him, and well, Wizards came and two-wayed him out. And I wish we had been on top of it. In some ways, it pisses me off. You know, I like Chucky, but Chucky got hurt. He's undrafted. Is he that important to hold that two-way spot in an injury this whole freaking year? No. Take him off the two-way and put it on Julian Reese and keep him in Toronto. And I was saying this in October, or I was actually saying this in the first month of the G League season, that Julian Reese is a keeper. I pegged him right away. And then months later, yeah, we see him now doing this in the NBA at this level on these stats. It pisses me off because I was a warning. I was saying this a long time ago, and nobody in the Raptors organization obviously was aware of this, or maybe they just don't care. In some ways, this is kind of pissing me off. It's like, Bobby, bro, you had Julian here. He was in your backyard. He was here at Mississauga, and he was doing this, and I could see it with the eye test that this was going to translate, and he was going to do this in the NBA. Why didn't you fucking see this yourself, and why didn't you convert him and make him a Raptor? That's what I was wondering, especially since one of the biggest glaring holes in a roster has been rebounding and big man stuff, which he does. It's annoying. It's very annoying in some ways. It's very, very, very annoying. Very, very annoying. Let's see. Funfish is saying, will you watch the Jays home opener tonight? No, I don't watch any Blue Jays. I didn't even watch the World Series last year. I'm just so focused on Raptors and basketball that I don't watch any other sports at this point. I don't watch hockey. I don't watch baseball. I don't watch the NFL. I don't watch any of it. I have not watched the Super Bowl in almost 10 years. I didn't even watch the World Series when the Blue Jays were in it. Partly because I'm bad luck. When I watch the Blue Jays, they start losing. So I stayed away to try and help them get as far as they could. And so no, I won't be watching the season opener. I could name maybe 3 Blue Jays. I've just spent so much of my brain power on just the Raptors and basketball and the 905 and CBL and Team Canada and the Toronto Tempo that I don't have the capacity to get into other sports and keep all that information. It really is. This is a Raptors place. And this guy's brain is all basketball. There's no baseball involved in it anymore. G's saying, I can't wait until Silver finds true solution to tanking. He's hopefully going to figure it out this summer because they need to. They really need to do this because it is a really bad problem this year. It is. It totally is. And I feel like my solution's the best solution, and that's the one Charles Barkley has proposed. And I don't think that the ones that are in that ESPN article I just read are actually going to fix the problem. I think that the problem's just going to be in a weird other kind of way. It's still going to happen. It's still going to happen. G's saying Reese was 26 points and 17 rebounds. That one bothers me, to be honest, but we move on. I know we were talking about this yesterday during the 905 game, G and I, that, yeah, we're kind of annoyed with this. I mean, I don't like, because see, I already hear enough people coming after our people, whether it's the coach or the GM. I don't like piling on or adding any sticks to that fire, but this is one that kind of really does bug me. And normally I won't criticize Bobby Webster and say something like, but I think you fucked up with Julian Reese, Bobby Webster. I'm just going to say that right now. I think you fucked up with that one. You know, I could see not keeping David Roddy because he's older and, you know, he's not necessarily got a whole lot of years, but Reese is a young prospect that could be good for years to come. And you let him slip off to the Washington Wizards on a two-way right under our noses. And in some ways, that's a failure, Bobby Webster. But once again, I'm not trying to toot the horn of all of Bobby's failures so that people come after him with pitchforks and torches, because I don't want Bobby Webster to get fired. See, there's a balance. Some people are all or nothing. They're like, oh, they lost. They suck. Oh, Bobby didn't do this job. He needs to be fired. No. That's the blemish, a single blemish out of a huge, great, impeccable record in a lot of ways. I'm not telling people to fire him just because he let go of Julian Reese. There's a difference here. So one's an overreaction to say, oh, you fired Bobby Webster because he didn't keep Julian Reese. That's not the right. That's an overreaction. That's an overreaction. But I'm not exactly happy with him about this. Funfish is saying, is Kia Nurse on the tempo? Well, we were talking about this yesterday during the 905 game because Tamika Nurse was calling the game with Matt Cullen. They brought the old announcer back. It was weird. There was a different crew. Like we've been used to Randy and Ward recently in 905 games. And then, Ben Schulman was doing them at the beginning of the year. But now Matt Cullen showed up all of a sudden. And man, his delivery's kind of dry. And I blamed him for the loss because we needed that Randy Urban energy and enthusiasm. And Tamika Nurse, who's the older sister of Kia Nurse, she was calling the game. And I was writing in the comments, I was saying, I wonder if Tamika knows whether Kia's going to be a tempo player or not. Well, it makes a lot of sense that she would be, because in some ways she's going to be unprotected probably in the expansion draft. But if not that, I think she might be a free agent anyway. So there's all kinds of different ways that Kia Nurse could probably end up being an inaugural Toronto tempo player. And she probably wants it. Let's just put it that way. There's only 4 prominent Canadians in the WNBA right now. And it's Kia Nurse, Bridget Carlton, Aaliyah Edwards, and Letitia Amahir. And out of the 4 of them, Kia Nurse is probably the most likely to be on the tempo just because of her position on her team, which was the Sky last year, and the fact that they're a mess and that she switched teams every year for the last 3 seasons. She was on Seattle, she was on LA, she was on Chicago, and now hopefully she'll be on Toronto this year. It's very likely. I would say that the odds of Kia Nurse being on the tempo are pretty high. I'd say they're like 75 to 80%, but we'll find this all out officially in the next couple of weeks. That's right. G saying WNBA players are also used to playing in other countries in the off season, so they won't be as diva about playing in Toronto. Yes, and we also find that women are more intelligent than men in a lot of ways, and they're more worldly, and they may have a more of a global perspective than some of the xenophobic, closed-minded male athletes that come out of the United States. So yeah, the women are probably more likely to be more well-rounded in their global view and more progressive as women that are nurturers and for peace and love and understanding than, some of these knucklehead alpha male guys who come up in sports and they just like, America the best, America the best. Hell no, I won't play in Canada. It's Canada. There's a lot of that kind of energy, Rudy Gay, in the world today. Yeah. So, yeah, I could see this. This is probably very true, what he's saying. Funfish is saying, who's the top players in free agency this summer? Maybe pick up one big name to help the kids out. We don't do this. We don't do this. This is speculation. I don't do trade talk. I don't do speculative. And once again, you're getting out of order on what we're supposed to do right now. We're in a playoff race right now with the season, and the off season comes when the off season comes. In some ways, this is a question that's not easy to answer without seeing the lay of the land and how free agency world's going to look like. And once again, we aren't really players in the free agency market, partly because of what I just talked about. So we don't rely on free agency to improve our team. We improve our team through the draft and through trades. And it's partly because, like people have said, we can't attract the best free agents here to Toronto. That's probably very true. We can't. So it's not through free agency. And without knowing the lay of the land for the off season, there's no way to answer this question very well right now. And in some ways, I'm not getting ahead of things. The list right now is play the game tonight and try and hold on to playoff spot and get in the playoffs and get these young guys playoff experience. And then, we'll do everything in its right order, right? That's the way I look at it. Trevor's saying that's why I brought up the Fever, because they're saying they will lose a lot of players from their roster. That's interesting. Well, once again, I'm not clicking clickbait and clicking into the stories. You might as well just tell me what it says. Like, write it in the comment instead of putting the article up. Just say, oh, Indiana's worried about losing all their players in the WNBA. Because I'm not going to click on those clicks because in some ways I'm not trying to encourage AI or like clickbait. And to me, that looked like a clickbait article, so I didn't really actually look at it. So, yeah, I mean, this makes sense because, there's a lot of weirdness around Caitlin Clark. She's both the most popular player in basketball, not just in the WNBA, in both the NBA and the WNBA. But she's also a lightning rod of problems. in some ways. Not problems because of her or anything, but there's a lot of people that don't like her, that feel like she's getting way too much attention than she deserves. So there's a lot of internal strife with the players that play in the WNBA, and in some ways with Caitlin Clark. It's not really her fault. In fact, a lot of the players should be thankful to her for bringing the notoriety to the league. But also at the same time, there is jealousy. There is people that are kind of like, you don't deserve this and this and this. You're this. And I'm the better player in the league, Aja Wilson or whoever. I get that energy. And it could very well be that some of the people that are on the Fever are not wanting to be in the Caitlin Clark traveling show no more. And they're ready to go on to the next place. And the free agency is allowing them to get out, right? Shaq Lindsay saying, I know you think I'm being too critical about this team, but I have nothing but love and passion for this team. Bobby needs to draft and get players that fit size, capability, skill at their position. Yes, I'm 100% with you, Shaq Lindsay. I think from the start of our franchise, at the very beginning, when we drafted a 5'10 point guard out of Arizona named Damon Stoudemire, they were already setting a tone. And I think that there was a written rule in the history of the Raptors that we have to pick players that are undersized in the draft, undersized at their position, because there's a history of it. In some ways, the NBA didn't want us to be a good team. They want us to take the leftovers and the really good meaty players like Kevin Garnett. No, you can't go to the Toronto Raptors. Allen Iverson. No, you can't go to the Toronto Raptors. We want you to get the scraps. And that's part of the reason why I was kind of upset with getting Colin Murray-Boyles last year, because he's in the vein of the undersized positional player that the Raptors seem to just pick up every once in a while. And it's annoying to me. But Colin plays bigger than his position and his size, and his wingspan makes up for it, as some people on this channel have made it very clear to me. Wingspan may matter more than height sometimes. And I think that's true. They won me over with that. But at the same time, it was the immediate reaction when we drafted Colin was like, oh, fuck, why did we get the undersized guy? It's the classic Raptors having to draft the undersized player. They always want to put an undersized guard on our mock draft results at ESPN. They're always trying to show people that they want us to draft, like Jalen Suggs instead of Scotty Barnes. And Scotty Barnes was the kind of draft pick that went against that philosophy. And that's why I was overjoyed when we got Scotty Barnes. And I was so much happier when we got Scotty Barnes than getting Jalen Suggs, who to me was just another undersized guy at his position that the NBA was trying to force on us, whether it was through subterfuge, a Bleacher Report, and pre-draft rankings, teaching the Raptors fans to think, oh, Jalen Suggs is the best choice for the Raptors at that pick in the draft. And it misled a lot of people. And then they got all upset when we drafted Scotty. But do we see that Scotty was the right option? And he's absolutely a fantastic player? Yes. And that's why I'm with Shaq Lindsay on this. I get sick and tired of drafting undersized. That's why I wanted Maluach. That's why I wanted him at that spot instead of Colin, because I wanted that center position. I wanted that length, that wingspan. I wanted that player that is a project at the center, and we get an actual legitimate, more big production, kind of like bigs in the pipeline. Other teams have lots of bigs that are coming up in their systems, and we have very scant amount of bigs coming up in our system. And that's annoying to me. Julian Reese would have helped this. Anyway, let me keep moving. Let's see. Trevor's saying Orlando Robinson put up 45 and 12 rebounds yesterday in the G League game. Yeah, for Memphis Hustle. He's done 2 big, huge games in the last week, too. There's been a couple of guys that I'm just like, yeah, Orlando Robinson's another one, Bobby. What the fuck, man? We could have had him on our team this year as another big. It's annoying. It's annoying. Shaq Lindsay saying far too often we are getting players who are undersized, who don't have the capabilities to play at the NBA level, or don't have their shooting or defensive skills to match up to their position. Grady Dick. I think that we've done pretty good job of drafting most of the We the North, Masai Ujiri era into like the Bobby era now. I mean, in some ways, drafting Colin Murray-Boyles is signalizing that we did go revert back to pre-Ujiri drafting of undersized people. But I think if you think about it, while Ujiri was working with Webster, We got Pirtle, we got Anunoby, we got Siakam, we got Scotty, we got a bunch of very good sized guys at their position. And it wasn't totally true during the time when Masai was around our team. But the fact that Masai was let go the day after we drafted Colin Murray-Boyles and that he really didn't have, I don't know how much say Masai actually had in drafting Murray-Boyles, guys. Some people are saying they give him credit for this. I don't know if he did. I don't know if Masai had anything to do with it, and that they just kept him on up until the draft pick was made, just so there wasn't news overshadowing something or something like that. I don't know. Because in some ways, as soon as we made that pick for Colin, it was mystifying to me because we all thought we were getting Common, and we got Colin instead. And in some ways, it's worked out, and Colin seems like he's going to be really fantastic, and it's great. But also at the same time, it is what Shaq Lindsey's talking about right now. And that seems like it's a cue that we're going back to this unwritten underlying rule that the Raptors have to draft undersized people in the draft because somebody's got to pick those people in the draft, and the NBA wants us to be the one that takes them. Does that make sense? Let's see. Shaq Lindsey saying Jonathan Martin Jonathan Mobo, Elijah Martin, to a lesser extent Jamal Shed. Although I love Shed, determination and heart, there are things you just can't mask because of size. Colin was a no-brainer because of his size and strength. So you're saying these guys are undersized. I won't say that Jonathan is, but I think Elijah is. And Shed is different. Shed's just kind of different. In some ways, it's okay Shed being Shed because of the intangibles. But Elijah Martin is definitely an undersized shooting guard. And there are issues with that. And in some ways, he's another pick last year that I wasn't totally thrilled with, considering we didn't get a center. And that's really what I thought Bobby needed to draft last year. Because last year's draft class had a lot of good center prospects. And we've seen that since they've been playing. Whether it's Maxime Renault, Yannick Conan Niederhauser, these, Common, Rasheer Fleming, these are all different dudes that I was like, man, these would be great adds to the Raptors for rim protection, rebounding, and shot blocking stuff. But alas, in our second round pick, we picked a small shooting guard. And I'm like, okay, all right. I mean, he's got that dog like Shed and winning mentality, but we really did kind of want to get some size in this draft. That's kind of how I looked at it. Blackhawks saying Stoudemire was skillful at his height. Always look at skill at every height. When it comes to point guards, you're looking for skill, speed, strength to comprise your offense and defense. It's still a risk. I mean, that there's a reason why, Raptors fans booed Damon Stoudemire instead of getting Ed O'Bannon, even though Isaiah was right and Isaiah got that right. There's so many ways that Damon Stoudemire could have been a bust in his first season, but he wasn't, thank God. Seriously, that's a special kid. And kudos to Isaiah Thomas for believing in him. But the whole idea of starting your franchise with a guy named Mighty Mouse, who's 5'10", as your main player, and he did get Rookie of the Year, it's a little risky. Let's just put it that way. It's a little risky to do it that way. Shaq Lindsey saying, plus how he commanded the floor on both ends of the college level. Jacoby was an aberration, and I'm excited to see his growth. Other than that, there's not much to look forward to in regards of our young talent. Also, I'm not saying that Jonathan isn't and will not be a great player. I'm just wondering how he's going to fit in his position and our team. Well, all of the young players, including Grady, they have the ability to get back on track. Grady Dick could really take this season as a kick in the ass. And this offseason, he could go crazy and come back and be very valuable and still very good for the Raptors. I'm not giving up on Grady yet. I'm really not, especially since he has been showing recently a fight and a desire to be the best Raptor that he can be. So it's different with each case. And part of it is also some fans have expectations for every player to become an all-star at some point. No, that's not how we should look at ceilings for players. Jonathan Mobo could be a utility big for us that is semi-rotation, and he's absolutely successful and helpful to us. In some ways, he's already doing enough to help us in ways that he could. Now, is he going to get better as he gets older? Yes, because he'll have more experience, he'll have more confidence, and he'll know more about the NBA game as he goes. Is he ever going to be a regular starter again? Probably not, and he shouldn't be. What is our expectation for the ceiling for Jonathan Mobo? To me, if he can continue to be a great plug in and play big defender that's active on the court, that can give you a little bit of talent in different areas to do something surprising and help out in winning ways in different ways, a la Scotty Barnes, that's perfectly fine with me. Does he have to get much better than he is right now? No. Could he get a lot better? He probably could. So it's kind of like I feel like everybody has these expectations that every player, unless they get to all-star or they become a starter, they're a failure. That's not the way the NBA works. In some ways, you can be a long-standing bench player in the NBA and be very successful and helpful to your team. So, what is the ceiling for Jonathan? What is his ultimate heights? I have no idea. In some ways, it's up to him. But also at the same time, I can already say that if anything, he's a good plug in and play, an extra big utility for us on our team. And he's not been wasting away all year on the bench. He's been at 905, continuing to hone his craft and get better and better. So yeah. Yeah. And every single one of these guys on our team has different ideas of what the possible ceiling can be. People should temper their expectations for Jamison Battle and not think, oh, because he can shoot threes so well at this clip that obviously he's going to grow into like this Kyle Korver role or this or that later in his career. We don't know. The trajectories for these guys and the possibilities with their ceilings may be lower or higher than we think, but also at the same time, we shouldn't have any preset expectations and also label guys as failures or successes just because their ceiling wasn't as high as we thought and they didn't get to this certain point. It's really kind of, are they useful to our team and the roles that they can provide? And sometimes it's just an extra foul out there to foul a big guy because we need somebody to foul somebody and stop them from just scoring. There's all kinds of different ways to look at it. I would say that. So, all right, let me see what else we got to do today. Let me go through my tabs real quick. All right, we'll do the reaction to the G League game yesterday. My first star of the game for the G League game yesterday is Tyrese Samuel. Tyrese at times seemed like the only guy for the 905 playing defense. They came out and they started horrible. 33-16 was the score after the first quarter for the Wisconsin Herd. It was very similar to the Raptors and the Clippers game. As far as they couldn't hit the broadside of the barn, everything they shot was missing, including free throws and just easy layups and free open threes that normally would have gone down. Nothing was going right for the Raptors 905. And it really made me wonder, what the hell is going on? How are they so closely doing the same thing at the same time often? Sometimes the Raptors 905 are on a roll and they just can't do anything wrong. And the Raptors are the same thing in the NBA. Well, this week has been where the Raptors have been off and they're not making shots they normally would make. They're missing very simple shots. It's just, whoa, why are you missing that? It's happening in the 905 right now too. And they had a horrible start to the game. But yeah, Tyrese was in there fighting. Literally, there were a couple times a former 905 player, Jeremiah Tillman, elbowed him in the face on the way to the basket. And they should have honestly given him a flagrant for the first one, but they didn't. They said, oh, it's just a regular foul. There was no malice in it. Bullshit, because he came around and hit him in the face a second time later on the game. And Tillman was playing like he was in WWE yesterday, where he's just really physical, hitting out, lashing out. In some ways, I respect that. He was on 905 and he played the same way for us when he was on our team. But Tyrese was out there battling. He had a 14-14 game. 14 points, 14 rebounds, 6 of 10 from the field, 1 of 3 at the free throw line, 2 assists, 0 turnovers, 2 blocks, and even. He was an even. So, yeah, Tyrese Samuel, you got the number 1 star of the game for the first time this season. I appreciate your hard work. And also, I appreciated hearing you from after the game in the post-game interview. We had not heard from Tyrese Samuel since he was traded from the Valley Suns to the 905. And of course, being a Canadian, he talked about that moment in the interview after the game, saying that I was just about to play a game in Phoenix, but they stopped me and they said, don't play, man. You're getting traded. And he's like, oh, where am I getting traded to? And they said, "You're going to the Raptors 905." And he was overjoyed, he said, because he's Canadian. And he said, "I'm going home." And he came and he was very happy. He had been paying attention to our team because he had seen how good we were earlier in the season. And the fact that he was getting to come back to Canada, play for the Raptors organization, and play for a good team under Drew Jones, he was ecstatic. So he let that be known in his post-game interview yesterday. So he's been loving this, even though it's like at the end of the season and it's just kind of at the end. He's enjoying being back in Canada, and he really does feel privileged to be a part of the Raptors organization right now. So yeah, salute to you, Tyrese Samuel. All right, my second star of the game in the loss yesterday is Tyson Degenhart. Tyson was one of the few Raptors 905 that could actually shoot well yesterday. Most of the guys did not shoot well. They were really off. Tyson, 33 minutes, 16 points, 6 of 9 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3. He hit his only free throw, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 turnover, 1 steal, a minus 11. Yeah, he's just a steady, kind of calming kind of player. You know, when things are kind of awry and chaotic, in some ways he makes things kind of get back in line. And I appreciate Tyson Degenhart and his role on this team all season. You know, Andrew Jones talked about him after a game last night, saying that he feels like Tyson made great strides personally on his defensive game this season. I still wish he would try and score even more because he's the all-time greatest scorer in Boise State University history. So he's got it in him. In some ways, I wish he was more selfish and he would shoot more, honestly. My third and last star for this game and the loss is Tyreek Key. Tyreek off the bench got 30 minutes, 17 points on 7 of 15 shooting. He was 3 of 6 from 3, 1 rebound, 2 assists, 1 turnover, a minus 6. We were having a hard time getting scoring from anybody. None of the Raptors 905 scored 20 points. We did have 7 players in double digits, but man, the shooting was really bad overall. I mean, I'll go over the rest of the guys that I didn't talk about. Elijah Martin, 5 of 16 from the field, 11 points with 11 rebounds. He did have a double-double and 2 turnovers, 3 steals, 2 blocks, and 2 assists. But yeah, 5 of 16 from the field, Elijah. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Jarkel Joyner, 4 of 11 from the field, 0 of 3 at the three-point line, 12 points for him in 30 minutes. He started with 5 assists, 0 turnovers. That's tough. AJ Lawson, 3 of 12. 3 of 12 from the field, 14 points in 34 minutes, 2 of 7 from the three-point land. He made all 3 of his free throws, though. I'll give him that. 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 0 turnovers, and 2 steals. So, yeah, 3 of 12 for AJ, 4 of 11 for Jarkel, 5 of 16 for Elijah, 3 of 16 for AJ Hoggard, who got 12 points off the bench in 26 minutes. He was 1 of 7 from 3. He had 8 assists with 3 turnovers, 2 steals, and 2 rebounds. He was a +9. Quincy Guerrier, 8 points, 3 of 7 from the field, 4 rebounds, a steal, and a block. Yeah, and that's pretty much everybody who played because they only had 8 guys playing. The other side, there was one guy that just really went off, and especially from the beginning of the game, Mark Sears. He had 33 points on 10 and 19 shooting with 11 rebounds. And they had 2 other guys that had double-doubles too. Johnny Davis, lottery pick from the Wizards, 29 points with 12 rebounds, and Stephen Thompson, 14 points with 10 rebounds. There's actually a lot of talent on Wisconsin Herd. They have Johnny Davis, who was a former lottery pick for the Wizards, and they got John Butler Jr., too, out of Florida State, who's this very tall, lanky, long guy who's very much a mismatch for anybody on the 905, and he was utilized against us. He's too skinny in some ways for the NBA, but he's very, very lanky and long and very dangerous. You know, they just have some powerful players on the other side, and, well, they have some good talent. And, well, we'll see them tomorrow again for the last game of the G League regular season. The 905 hosts the Wisconsin Herd at 6 p.m. tomorrow night for the last game of the regular season. Speculating that the playoff game for the 905, the first playoff game, will be on the 31st of March next week around when we're playing the Pistons. So, yeah, there's your 905 look. And on the team stats, I mean, it was dumb. They lost by 2. It was 106-104. The game was very much decided in the last minute, and it was game management and execution that decided it. And well, we failed. We did not make a basket in 2 attempts that we could have won the game on. And they were basically drives to the basket by Elijah Martin and Jarkel Joyner. And they were waiting for the foul, but the foul was there, but the refs did not call it. And they did not convert the basket. So there could have been a foul on those calls, but it's at the last second of the game, and the refs don't want to decide the game with a foul. So Martin, the lesson is if you're going to go in there to make the shot in the middle, and you only needed 2 to tie it to go to overtime, you got to make sure you convert. And you cannot expect them to call the whistle, especially at the very end of the game, to be decided that way. Andrew Jones likened it this way. He said, we weren't playing to ourselves. We weren't playing our identity. Our identity is to close out and execute and do this right. We've been doing this all season, but we did not do it exactly right last night. And part of the problem is we've had a talent drain. There's been a lot of cases where we've had close games this 905 seasons, and we won them because we managed the game right and we executed to make the last basket and get the narrow victory. But when Roddy and Sarr and Reese and all these different guys are gone, and Chucky's not there, and Jonathan Moba's not there, we've had a talent drain. And in games recently that have been close for 905, some of these games that we would have normally won earlier in the season are getting fumbled and lost now at this point in the season. And it's too bad. Even Markelle Fultz probably would have helped the Raptors 905 last night. Alas, it's a 2-point loss because we couldn't get the last basket. Yeah. So, yeah, they shot better than us, 46% from the field. We only shot 39%. Both teams made 9 threes. Free throws, pretty even. Not really too much to say about that. They out-rebounded us plus 10. Assist-to-turnover ratio, pretty good. 24 assists for 905 with only 8 turnovers. So that's 4-1, right? No, 3-1. 3-1. 23 and 18 for the other side. So 23 assists for them with 18 turnovers. So, yeah, we turned on the defense in the second half because we were getting beat right up until halftime. We were down by 15 at half. And the Raptors 905 kicked their ass in the third quarter, 41-22. And we had a lead by 10 after this third quarter going in the fourth. Alas, they coughed up that lead and lost by 2 by the end of the game. And it's too bad. That's your Raptors 905 reaction to a loss to Wisconsin Herd yesterday. It is tough, man. It is tough. Yeah, let's see. Neil's saying these bench players don't have a high ceiling they have to strive for. Just come off the bench with good energy and be a spark plug. 9 to 16 points is excellent performance for them to be gritty. Yeah, I mean, there's room to grow in the area and the ceiling where they are for what their role should be. I mean, every time anybody plays in the NBA and gets more time on the court, they're learning and getting experience and getting better for it. That's why, in some ways, the recent movement in the NBA to discard veterans and put more importance on cheaper, younger players has lowered the quality of play in the NBA overall because the veterans know how to play the game correctly and the know-how. And you lose that when you have so many dismissed earlier in their careers than in past eras of the NBA in the favor of flushing in more cheaper contracts with younger guys. That's definitely been something that has happened in the recent 10 years of the NBA. Over other eras of the NBA, there'd be a huge veteran contingency on most teams, where it's not just like 1 or 2 guys are a vet like Garrett Temple. It's like there's 4 or 5 guys that are like 10-year vets on teams. But alas, the model for most NBA teams now is to have a very low age pyramid where it's very young, heavy, and maybe there's like 1 or 2 older players on that team at this point. And in some ways, the quality of the NBA suffers for it because the younger players are not as honed and seasoned as players in the NBA, knowing how to play correctly or right. This is on the down low, part of the reason why the quality of basketball in the NBA has gone down in recent years is because these young players are not seasoned enough or they don't play the game correctly enough in some ways. That's why I get so mad at like saving the inbounds underneath your own basket. That's an old rule you shouldn't do. There's all kinds of dumb cardinal sins on a basketball court that are done these days because players are not following some of the tried and true rules that actually are really smart. Like there's a reason why they used to say, don't save the ball under your own baskets inbounding. like from the out line bound, because you're already out down there and they're all going to run the other way. And it's a 5-on-4 fast break for the other team because you're the furthest away and you just saved it out of bounds under your basket. And if they don't get the ball, the other team's running the other way. We know this. This is basic basketball 101 is what we're talking about right here. So, all right, let me keep going with my tabs. Raptors Redditor of the day is Vinny527. And he's saying late game on Friday. Any idea why the game here on Friday versus the Pelicans has an 8:30 p.m. Eastern start? Usually home games have a 7:30 p.m. tip-off. Well, I'll tell you, it's a couple of reasons why, Vinny. I think it's partly because the market that we're playing is in the next time zone over. So for the Pelicans fans in New Orleans, the game will start at 7:30. Now, is it a big deal if we start the game at 8:30 on a Friday night in Toronto? No, because in some ways, people are going out for Friday night anyway. Another issue is getting to the game after work. And if you start the game right at 7 p.m. on a Friday night, traffic and everything is a problem. But the biggest reason why this game is starting at 8:30 is the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays have their season opener this weekend, and there's going to be traffic that's going to be down around downtown. And for city planners and police and different people that have to handle the crowds that come to sports, it's better if they stagger the start times a little bit off each other. So I don't know. The Blue Jays are going to probably start around 7. So the Raptors are going to start around 8:30. And they're going to hopefully miss each other's crowds going in and going out. And that's another big reason why right there. I don't know. This game could also be on one of the NBA packages in the States, like NBA TV, and it works better for them to be at 8:32. These are all valid reasons for why it could be. Is it a big deal that the game starts at 8:30 on a Friday? No, I don't think so. Because in some ways, that's better for people that get off work and get to the game on time and be there in their seats right at the start at the opening tip. So thank you, Vinny527, and that is your answer right there for what's up with that. Yeah, let's see. Trevor's saying that. Wait, we got a couple more things in here. Shaq Lindsay saying, I hope Shed eats his shreddies and gets his revenge on Murray. Well, he can get it by playing really well and beating them and getting that W. That's what we want right there. That's right. Let's see. Trevor's saying they're saying Fever head office didn't prepare players in time because they were too focused on the outcome of the WNBA labor outcome and forget to organize the players they want to keep. That sounds like poor communication. That maybe the Fever team officials were not keeping in contact with some of the Fever players, and it sounds like they may be in trouble for it. That's what that sounds like to me right there. Yeah, the other teams did their homework earlier than the Fever. That's interesting. That's very, very interesting. G saying this, number 2, 20 team, 20. Oh, wait, I guess you had another message. You retracted it. Okay, saying 22 teams in the lottery using a 2-year record, 18 teams versus a 5 versus 5 lottery. The full descriptions are too long to type here. My issue with this is rigging for teams will be so much easier now. See, that's what I'm saying. That's what Adam Silver's not being honest about. Whatever system he wants to put in, he wants to be able to have control over directing players to certain teams still. And that's why I would love the other way of doing it, because it's actually true parity without any kind of invisible hand guiding shit. But Adam Silver obviously wants the lottery, so he can make up some idea that lottery balls and the way they fall in the NBA, Patrick Ewing, have never been like manipulated. Kaloy's here. Morning, everyone. Hey, Lex, what are your thoughts on the feast or famine shot making of this team? Is it a talent issue, play issue, or just the yips? Honestly, this is just normal basketball stuff. It's just normal stuff. Like with any team on any level, whether it's church league, high school, college, NBA, G League, WNBA, teams just go through hot and cold periods as a collective, just like an individual. And there's nothing wrong with what's happening with the Raptors. It's just this kind of thing where whatever reason, the basketball gods are not shining on them right now. It's like you can make this shot 100 times, and then all of a sudden in the game, it's not going for some reason, and it's just falling out. It's just one of those things. It's like having a bad day where things just aren't going right, and it's not explicable. You can't explain why. It's just the ups and downs. Nothing's a straight line going in anything in the NBA. It's a wave. And right now we're on a downswing of bad luck with our shots not going in. So it really doesn't have anything to do with the Noah system. It has nothing to do with us being bad shooters or good shooters. We're just in a slump as a group. Sometimes it's just a slump as an individual player. But right now, in some ways, and it may not be true tonight, they may be firing hot and making everything tonight. But there have been games this week where they've had the basketball gods not shining on them, and it's the opposite. And stuff that would normally just fall in, it would be easy, is not going in. And everybody that plays basketball knows that you're just going to have off days and off nights and sometimes off weeks where just nothing will go right for you. And it's not anything to look at very deeply and say it's this or label it. It's just basketball. It's just the normal thing about basketball. Sometimes you make them, sometimes you miss them. And that's why sometimes you'll hear coaches like Andrew Jones and Darko in the postgame say, we had good looks, we had good shots, we just didn't make them. That's kind of what this is. It's not anything to read into it as far as talent or like looking at the roster build or anything like that. Sometimes it's just like a player. John Starks gets hot, John Starks gets cold. It's as simple as that. All right, y'all, let's do the straight goods on Canadian goods. Today, guys, I got the jerky because DeJounte Murray is a jerky. And, well, you could get Jack Link's. It's American. But, there's a Canadian brand of beef jerky called McSweeney's. And I've got some original beef jerky here. And it's made with Canadian beef from Canada. And this is the thing. There's been news in the last couple of days about Canadian food supply coming from our own country. Right now, there's way too much stuff we're buying from the States in this country. And besides trying to start more military building for ourselves, which we are doing for sure, we need to start working on our food security also. And that means encouraging Canadian companies that sell groceries in the grocery store so we can encourage our own industry to be stronger. Get off the dependence off American brands, because who knows what's going to happen. There are speculations that we could have food scarcity problems if things get weird in this world because we rely on American food too much. So it's really important these days to continue to buy Canadian brand stuff. It's like, forget about Starbucks, go to Second Cup. Forget about McDonald's, go to A&W. Get Pizza. Don't get Domino's. Every single choice you can make to support a Canadian company in this country is going to be helpful to our sovereignty and our economy and keeping Canada strong. So no Jack Link's, no Slim Jim, McSweeney's. That is your beef jerky company. And DeJounte Jerky Murray is what I'm going to call you. DeJerky Murray. DeJerky. Let me see if there's any breaking news real quick before I get close to signing off. Let's see. Is Blake Murphy saying anything right now? Is there any news about anything that's going on right now? Not really. It doesn't look like it right this second. Josh Lewinberg's talking about Survivor this week, and Charlie got voted out. Yeah. Let's see. Happy birthday to the man who's touched the ball the first time ever in Raptors history, Ed Pickney. Ed Pickney played for Villanova in college in the 80s, and he took Patrick Ewing's Georgetown team down in the Final Four. Villanova, Ed Pickney. He was an original Raptor, and much like the Tempo are going to have their original player touch the ball on the tip-off of their first ever regular season game. Well, Ed Pickney was that man for the Raptors, guys, and it's his birthday today. Happy 63rd birthday, original Raptor, Ed Pickney, formerly of the Villanova Wildcats, and the first ever player to ever touch the ball in a Raptors jersey in an NBA game off the jump ball that went to the Raptors, and then it led to an Alvin Robertson three-point shot, which was the first points ever scored in Raptors history. So we got to salute a Raptors original, Ed Pickney, today. Happy birthday. Also, a big birthday to one of our current assistant coaches. We saw him yesterday in Mississauga wearing the Raptors shirt behind the bench, behind Coach Drew Jones and his staff. It is Mr. Jim Sand. Of course, we know Jim Sand is a underrated, amazing coach, and he's a coach's coach from the inside. Any franchise in the NBA would love to have Jim Sand on their staff, and he is basically that guy It used to be when Siakam was on our team, and I'm sure it's for Brandon now or whoever, that he gets the call at 3 a.m. and says, hey, coach, I want to go down to OVO and take shots at 3 a.m. All right, I'll meet you there. He gets out of bed, his lovely wife, and goes down there and helps them set up and shoot. This is Jim Sand. And we love you, Coach Sand. So it is Coach Jim Sand's birthday today. So let's get that win today for Coach Jim Raptors. That's what I'm saying right now. Let's get that win for Coach Jim, right? Right? Yeah, he's just a dedicated guy. He's a great glue guy. And he's been in our Raptors organization the longest in a lot of ways. I mean, he was on our team like way back. He started with the Raptors in 2003, guys. And he was an assistant coach under Kevin O'Neal over 20 years ago. This is his second stint with us. And he's been on the Raptors coaching staff since 2016. He was an assistant coach under Casey, Nurse, and Rajakovic. So, yeah, Jim Sand, happy birthday to you, my guy. All right, let's get the classic card. We got on the stretch run of this show. We got 10 minutes to go for 2 hours. I don't want to do that one. That one's too hard. I don't feel like doing that one right now. All right, we'll do this one. All right, we got a classic Skybox today. You guys know Skybox. Let's see who knows this player. Full name answer for the classic card right here. I always love the Skybox design, the graphical design of how they did it. It just was so elegant and so cool. Of course, Slug Deasy knows that is the former coach of the Golden State Warriors that got fired, Mark Jackson, Rookie of the Year for the New York Knicks, and a guy who really averaged a lot of assists in his NBA career. Yep, Mark Jackson is the right call. And he is a former Raptor, too. It's not too difficult, Slug Deasy, so I'm going to give you 100 for this one. Mark Jackson, the classic card of the day, the king of the classic card, coming in to scoop it today, Mr. Slug Deasy. Yeah, Slug's been really good at the classic cards all season long, and your work is noted. And I'm telling you right now, man, you are going to get your name on our trivia trophy at some point. I know. It may not be this year. It's Fiercey's turn, but I know you're going to get it at some point, man. And maybe next year, Mr. Slug Deasy gets it. All right, let me wrap it up and get out of here. Guys, we're playing the Pelicans tonight, and this is our jersey for tonight. If you want to coordinate, we're wearing the City Edition tonight. Yeah, we need to beat them. We have receipts. They punked us. They chumped us. They did some messed up shit. DeJounte Murray. So in some ways, Raptors, you got to get that payback. You got to get that receipt. Show that you care. In some ways, you showed you cared the game after that against the Suns and beat their ass on a Friday night. Well, it's a Friday night in Toronto. You got to beat the Pelicans this time. In some ways, it's not even just the revenge against them. It's the situation with the standings and where you guys are. You can't afford to lose tonight. You just can't. You've got to win tonight. And in some ways, like our friend earlier, Fish, what was his name? Fish on or something? Fun Fish was saying, yeah, we don't want our Raptors Nation crashing out tonight because of an L. So get that W, seriously. And, play to your best ability. If the shots aren't falling, continue to work hard, and that will get you somewhere. At some point, the Pelicans will be bad during the game tonight, and you guys just need to be as good as you can for most of the game, even if you're not making your shots. If you do things right and you work hard, you should still win. Remember, the refs are not good tonight, and having a bigger margin against the Pelicans in the fourth quarter is smart. In some ways, you needed that last Friday against the Nuggets in Denver. So let's not make the mistake of being lackadaisical and saying, oh, we can beat them with just a 5-point lead in the fourth. No, Mark Davis is your crew chief, and he will screw you over if you allow him the chance to. So that's the thing. You guys got to go above and beyond and beat them and possibly also beat the refs because that's how they're like that. All right, real quick, the latest lineup news at this point. Let's see. Emmanuel's out for the Raptors for sure tonight, and so is Chucky Hepburn. But that's it. We're not listing anybody else. The ESPN matchup predictor saying 66% the Raptors will win tonight. It's very much looking like DeJounte Murray will not play today. He is day-to-day. And Trey Murphy is also day-to-day tonight. So we may not see Trey Murphy the third either. Bryce McGowan's is out for sure. The refs are Mark Davis is the crew chief. He favors the Pelicans. Kevin Cutler is the referee. He favors the Raptors very slightly. And then Pat O'Connell is the umpire. And the teams have the same record with him. Both teams are 17% winning, 1-6 with Pat O'Connell. I forgot to say that. It's a push. Pat O'Connell is even with both teams. Very bad. So one of the teams are going to get a better record with Pat O'Connell today for sure. So, yeah, but this ref crew is not that good, man. This is a bad ref crew. It's a dangerous ref crew. So we can't have any messing around and not playing up to the best of our ability, because the refs will decide this game for us in the favor of New Orleans if they get the chance. So, Scotty, don't give them the chance. And seriously, do something like what one of the commenters said earlier. Get 20 points. Go out there and have a big game. In some ways, you guys' energy against the Suns 2 Fridays ago needs to be coming against the Pelicans tonight, because that was the energy they deserved because of what happened in the game against them in New Orleans. And Brandon, I don't want to see no friends tour tonight. I want to see you out there as a competitor, playing to the top of your ability and not trying to be all friendly and ha, laugh, hi, smile, smile. You guys are my old team and I love you. No, we don't want that energy tonight. If you really are a true friend of them, if you really are a real one, you will come at them and say, I want to beat y'all's asses so I can talk trash in our chat later on. That's right. Yeah, Blackhawks saying McDonald's is cardboard food. Yeah, I mean, if you understood the shortcuts that some of the American corporations make to make their food, you would be like, I should not be eating this. I should not be eating this. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching me. Even I'm pissed off and ornery and having a bad day already. I appreciate everybody. Let's go Raptors. I hope that they win so that we can talk about a great win tomorrow in the reaction stream, 9:30 a.m. Saturday morning. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Let's go Raptors.